deal with it by the grace of God. And I internalized most of my trauma. A lot of people act out. I was in gangs and stuff like that, but I always wanted to commit suicide. So I stayed very depressed, very suicidal for many years. In fact, to be honest, I didn't really break out of suicidal tendencies until all three of my kids were born. I was working at the UN at the time, and I had taken off from work because my kids were going back to school in September. And I was like, that's it. I just don't want to live this life anymore. And I got in my car to drive over the Tappan Zee Bridge. And on my way coming back, I just went to take a ride, and I was going to drive my car off the bridge. That had to be, oh gosh, that was literally right before I started going to Christian Love Tabernacle.
Now, you had children at that time.
I had children.
So
all
it
three
had
of my
nothing
children.
to do with this
No.
was an internal
All
feeling.
three of my children were born at the time. And this had to be like 24 years ago. 24 years ago. I was like, that's it. I've just had enough of this life. Because when you deal with so much trauma, it's very painful to really deal with mental illness and not find a way to be able to get out. It's painful, you know, and all you want to do is just not live. So no
now,
amount of those kids, nothing.
What stopped you?
God, definitely. There's no other explanation for it, but even as a little girl, I always knew God, and I knew God existed because my mother left me with my paternal grandmother from the day I was born. My mother never took care of me, and she knew that the house was extremely dysfunctional. So my grandmother would let her oldest son, my father's oldest brother, rape and molest me and sodomize me. And she would send me in his room for him to do that to me. And God was always, for whatever reason, my grandmother used to watch Westerns, and when those Westerns would go off, and I slept in a bed with my grandmother and her youngest son, my Uncle Gilbert, when those Westerns went off, those God channels would come on. So I always knew that God existed, right? Jesus would come and visit me. I always knew God was there.